All right, I hope you can hear me. I'm using a magnetometer app, and here you can see the total magnetic field. I think it's Gauss. Let's see here, microtesla, and it's going up. I am standing, let's count, 1, 2, 3 paces, or roughly 3 meters, from a 4 Tesla Oxford magnet from the 90s, early 90s, and I'm currently ramping it up to field. I was doing some work on it, so it was sitting at 0 field, so there was no current running through the coil. And now I'm ramping it up. So I use a power supply to push current into the magnet. And it runs slow. It was at 5 amps when I left the power supply. And I'm going up to 158.4 amps, which corresponds with 1.5 Tesla. So we're actually running this magnet at a lower field than it's designed for. So yeah, you can actually see a very nice steady increase in field right now. Eventually I'll have to take my phone further away from the magnet, although I found that my phone has survived worse amounts of field. So it looks like now we're at 1,000 microtesla, or 1 millitesla. We won't get all the way up to the 1.5 Tesla on this phone because, first of all, the sensor will saturate long before that ever happens. And second of all, we're not inside the magnet. If you're inside the magnet, you'll get to 1.5 T, but we're 3 meters away, so it's not going to get that high. But I can actually walk closer quickly, and you can see, if you see how quickly that, and now you can see we're saturated, probably. I think that's what we're seeing. Yeah, I think that's garbage. So, as you can see, we don't get usable data at a if we get too close. So I'm going to back off to where we were sitting before, 3 meters from the magnet. And you can't see the ramp because I think it's the auto scaling has mucked us up. Hopefully it'll rescale. Yeah, you can still see we're going up. So the story of this magnet was there was ice in it. So we ramped it down to deal with, the big deal was there was ice preventing us from putting helium in the magnet. And that's a problem because magnets need helium, liquid helium, to stay cold. And we couldn't get the liquid helium into the magnet. And when you can't get liquid helium into a magnet, yeah. So the only option we found was to ramp down the magnet and then to use hot helium gas to blow into it to melt the ice. And when I talk about ice, I'm talking about air ice. There could be some water moisture in there, but it's mostly air that's seeped into the magnet. So there was actually ice inside the fill port, which prevented us from putting liquid helium in the magnet. And then we had a secondary issue where we actually had our current lead, which is the electrical leads that we use for ramping the magnet. We actually had them freeze inside the magnet, so then we had to try and thaw them out as well, because the current lead introduces a lot of heat into the magnet, so the current leads are only inserted for the time needed to ramp the magnet either up or down. So then we had to deal with that, and then we had a global helium, well, not global, it was a national helium shortage here at the end of 2021, but we were finally able to acquire enough helium, so it was 750 liters I dumped into this magnet on Friday, and it's Monday now, and we're going to field. And I don't know why it shows a decreasing field now. Maybe we're saturating the sensor. I'm going to go check on the power supply. We are at 0.25 Tesla, or 250 millitesla. Is that right? And the decrease I'm seeing must be saturation. Here's the magnet. So if you can see right there, that white cone, or cylinder rather, is where the cold head sits for keeping the magnet shields cold. And then there is the turret. You can see the big thick black cables. Here, these carry the current for energizing the magnet. You can see it's all iced up there. That's because the current lead gets very hot and it's vented, so all the helium boils and the cold gases flow through it and out of the magnet. And that's the quench duct there. So in case the magnet were to quench, it would blow out that way. And then you can see the current leads, they snake around and eventually they reach this panel here. And then we can go into the other room. And here we have our magnet power supply. So we're ramping at 9.9 volts and 37 amps at the moment is where we're sitting. So because of the high inductance inside the magnet, this amperage goes up very slowly. And it'll go up slower if we ramp at a lower voltage. But right now we're going to ramp at 9.9 volts. We'll probably reduce to like 5 volts when we get up around like 90 or 100 amps, I'm guessing.